Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 9 of Lavender Cottage Fibre Arts podcast. My name is Pia.
And my name's Anna.
And we're sisters in Melbourne, and this is our podcast about all things fibre arts, so knitting, crochet, weaving, sewing, etc., and some non-fibre related craft things we've got.
Things,
yeah. So just anything sort of crafty that we've been up to. So firstly, before we get into the podcast, we'd like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, the traditional owners of the land on which our podcast is recorded, and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. And we also extend that respect to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people who may be listening to this podcast. If you're one of our regular subscribers, welcome back. And if you're new, watching one of our podcasts for the first time, thank you for joining us. Yes. We unfortunately have had a bit of a break between episodes. I think our last one is almost 2 months ago.
Yeah, I think that was episode 8 and this is number 9, I think. Yes.
Yeah, so we have had a bit of break. Normally we try and do sort of roughly monthly, but there has been a bit of sort of just life things going on for us recently. I have adopted a new dog called Juliet, and we'll put some pictures up on the screen of her. So if you've been with us for a while, you might know that my older dog Sandy passed away about 6 months ago. And so my other dog Susie had been quite lonely, and I thought it was time to bring another four-legged housemate into the home. She's been going pretty good, but obviously that's been taking a bit of my time and attention, just getting her kind of settled in and adjusted. And then also, unfortunately, our dad has been, I don't know if unwell is the right word, but he was involved in an accident a couple of weeks ago now, and he's doing a lot better now. Like he's kind of through the worst part of his injuries, but it obviously was a very sort of stressful and anxious time for the whole family. So we kind of really sort of focused on being with him and supporting him and supporting all being supporting each other. But I mean, I think that we were saying that, having things like knitting, or I've been taking my embroidery when we go to visit, is something that is kind of nice when you go to visit someone in hospital, that you can kind of just sit quietly and particularly if the person you're visiting is maybe not very sort of awake, that you don't have to just sort of awkwardly sit there in silence, but it is a nice thing to just sit there and be with them, kind of thing.
Yeah, I must say, initially I felt maybe a bit silly, is this kind of trivializing the situation?
Yeah.
But I actually found that it was very comforting for me, particularly when he was very seriously unwell, to have something to calm me down and just have something to do, because also there's a lot of time spent waiting and things like that. So I found that it helped me to stay as calm as possible given the circumstances. I've enjoyed just hanging out with him, I guess, at the hospital, and just, having a bit of a chat and then just knitting while I'm there.
Yeah, and especially because his accident, he was riding his bicycle, which is very into sort of cycling, and is part of a local cycling group and that sort of thing. And so he was cycling and was struck by a car and did have some head injuries from that. So particularly at the beginning, the advice we were given is to try and I guess have as little sort of stimulation for him as possible, so his brain could rest and recover as quickly as possible. So they kind of instructed us, when you're visiting him, not to be sort of badgering him with questions and talking sort of constantly while you're there, because what he really needed was as much rest as possible.
Yeah, and if he's asleep, don't wake him up, just let him rest. Yeah.
So it was a nice thing that, when you get there, if he was sort of having a bit of a snooze, that we could just, work on a bit of knitting or embroidery or that sort of thing, and still be sort of present with him in the room, but not feel like that we had to sort of make a conversation, or that we could just let him get the rest that he needed.
And I think probably anyone who's been sick can probably kind of empathise with that. Sometimes people want to sort of like pep you up and stuff like that, but sometimes you're just not really up for that. You're not up for having a conversation or whatever. You just want to rest. So I think that's definitely something that I think even like if you've just had, a bad cold or whatever, you can relate to that to an extent that people kind of want to cheer you up, but sometimes you just want to need to rest
and kind of relax as much as you can. But so that's kind of why we've been a little bit absent from social media for the past little while. But as we said, Dad is doing much better. He's now
definitely.
He's moved out of sort of the like kind of acute hospital kind of setting and into a more rehabilitation focused area. So he's doing a lot better, but he'll still have a little way to go to fully recover. But we're all got our fingers crossed that he'll make a full recovery.
So I guess now we can probably move into our just after that little kind of life update, move into our regular sections of the podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
So our first section of the podcast is called Whip It Good. Oh no, sorry. Sorry.
Jumping the gun. No, it's all right. It's hot off the hooks.
Sorry. Hot off the hooks.
You're out of practice.
Exactly, a bit rusty. Hot off the hooks, sometimes we have hot off the needles, hot off the loom. Today I actually have something hot out of the kiln as well.
So it would be actually very hot.
Yeah. Probably the hottest out of all of our hot things. This is just where we talk about any finished objects. So anything that we have completed since our previous episode. So I have been a bit slack in the fibre arts department, but I have been a bit more productive in the ceramics department. So this is my hot out of the kiln sort of thing, which we thought was sort of still kind of like cottagecore-esque. I don't know if it's going to focus. But it's just this sort of like hanging kind of...
I think if you like hide your face, it will focus a bit better. Yeah.
Oh, oops, wrong way. Yeah. This kind of hanging mobile that I made out of little ceramic beads that I made and painted. So we can put a photo up as well of what it looks like when it's kind of hanging up. Because it's made of earthenware clay, which is a more sort of fragile clay, it's not suitable for as a wind chime because the beads would probably break from sort of like clinging into each other. So I have called it like a window chime. So I just have it hanging.
I think people call them sun chimes as well, don't they?
Yeah, although I don't know if sun chime people say for like things that are made out of like stained glass. The sun.
Okay, that kind of like refracts the light.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's a really like official nomenclature for these, but a window decoration for my kitchen window. So yeah, we can put a photo up of what it looks like kind of when it's hanging up.
I think having something in your kitchen window is nice, especially like if the sink is there, like just
when you're just sort of staring out the window, doing the dishes or
yeah,
whatever. You've got
nice to have something
nice outlook
to look at. Yeah,
to look at. But so that's my completed object. I think I know you've been a bit more prolific than I have.
Yes, I basically have a boatload of socks and some garments as well. But they're all fairly quick knits actually, so I might start off with what I'm wearing. So this is a new cast on and new finished object since our previous episode. So this is the Ghost Whisperer by Park Williams, or Park and Knit I think is her Instagram handle. So it's just like a very sheer t-shirt. It's knit with just like lace weight yarn, but it is knit I'm just trying to remember. I think it's a 4.5mm needle. I can't quite remember what the recommended needle size is, but I did use the recommended size. But so it creates like a very open gauge, so you get like a very sheer. You do hold the yarn double though for the neck and the sleeve bind off. And it just uses an I-cord bind off for the neck, and then for the sleeves there's an option of either an I-cord bind off or a little section of ribbing. I just did an I-cord, and the bottom is you just leave it, so because it's stockinette, it's sort of like a rolled hem, but I think the rolled hem in some ways actually kind of looks like fairly
Oh, yeah,
consistent with
it's
the
kind of
I-cord.
similar to
So yes, I knitted this in Rowan Kidsilk Haze, and the colourway was called Flamingo. I think their colourways also have numbers, and I can't quite remember what the number was, but all of the information about any like patterns or yarns or anything like that we use, we always put that in the description box. So if we forget to say something, or if we give the incorrect information, the correct information will always be in the description box. So I knit this one, and then I actually knit a second one because I originally I had a formal event to go to, and I had this sort of plain black kind of silk dress, and it's nice, but I just thought could just do with a bit of jazzing up kind of thing. So I initially knit this to wear, but then I found out that the theme for this dinner was actually gold, because it was the 50th anniversary of my department at work. So a gold wedding, 50th anniversary, wedding anniversary, sorry, is the gold anniversary. So, and I just thought gold, I just thought I'll wear some gold earrings or something like that. I just thought gold maybe didn't quite go with this pink. So I decided to knit another one in this sort of like more, I would say this is like a sort of pinky, reddy, burgundy kind of colour. I can hold it a little bit closer. This is also Rowan Kidsilk Haze, and this one, the colourway is called Plum. So I more or less knit both of them to the pattern specifications. I knit it slightly longer, and then I did knit the sleeves slightly shorter as well, mainly because I was running out of yarn, and I think so I had 2 balls of each of the colours, and I really didn't want to have to buy a third. So basically I knit the body, and then I weighed the yarn that I had left, and then just basically divided that in half for the sleeves. So that was mainly the modification that I made. If I made it again, which I actually have cast on another one, just because it knits up so quickly and it's very easy, because most of it's just knitting sort of stockinette in the round. The only thing that I might consider doing with the third one is I felt like that there's maybe a little bit too much fabric under the arm on the sleeve. And it's a paid for pattern, so I don't want to give away too much of the details, but when you pick up for the sleeves, you do a bunch of increases on the top of the shoulder, but not underneath the shoulder. But I think maybe what I might try next time is picking up the same number of stitches, and in that first round doing more increases on the shoulder, but actually adding some decreases under the arm, so that I end up with the same number of stitches. Because I think if I ended up with less stitches, it will be a bit tight. Because the I-cord is already like not that stretchy. So I might try that, and I guess like if it doesn't work, I can always just take it out and kind of do it again. But so I knit these 2 Ghost Whisperers, the same pattern. I guess like sometimes once you've bought a pattern, if you like it, you may as well.
I mean, I do that sometimes just with like regular clothes.
I've got a bit of mohair in my eye, I think.
If you like something, buy like multiple things in the same colour. So it's kind of like the handmade equivalent of that. Yeah,
I guess so. And I guess like now it's spring in Australia, so it's probably like a nice top. Like I think it'll be probably a bit hot in summer. But so I've made those 2, and then everything else that I've made is socks. So I just have all knitting FOs for today's episode. So
you have some new sock blockers as well.
Yeah, because I knit. Maybe I'll show these ones first. So I knit a pair of socks for my dad, like some get well soon kind of socks, or for him to wear in bed in hospital, some bed socks, but he's got a lot bigger feet than I do, obviously.
So these are a different size.
Yeah, these are a larger. I just got these from Knit Pro I got them at Morris & Sons, but they're the Knit Pro sock blockers in their largest size. So I'll show you these ones first for my dad. So the yarn I used for these is one of the Shoppel Salvabal or Magic Ball in their it's called Stauker 6, I think, which they say is a 6 ply, so equivalent to a sport weight. And I think the recommended needle size was a 2.75 millimeter, but I actually ended up preferring a 2.25 millimeter to get like a nice fabric. So I ended up basically just using the Nitty Natty, the Perfect Fit Sock formula
to get stitch counts, because I thought, I was looking up, on Ravelry, a few people who've knit socks with this, and some people use like DK weight sock patterns, other people use fingering. So I just thought, rather than just kind of winging it, I would take measurements of my dad's feet, and then knit according to a formula, rather than because I think it's not a DK weight, but it's a little bit thicker than a fingering weight, so I think maybe it is a sport weight. I couldn't really find too many sport weight patterns for socks either, but it's just a plain vanilla sock. And I think if you're not familiar with the Shopple, the magic balls, I think they're a little bit like the spin cycle yarns, in that it's like there's 2 plies, but it's a color changing. So, but both of the plies change. So it's not, there's no like defined repeat or anything like that. It just changes the whole way. And this one that I use for his socks, the colorway, it's from Germany, so all the names are in German, is Papagei, which means parrot in German. So, and our dad actually is German, so I thought that was like kind of cool as well. And we call him Papa, like we've never called him like to his face Dad. We've always called him Papa. So those are my first pair of socks that I've knit for my dad. So I'm gonna go see him this afternoon and give these ones to him. So that's the first pair, and then I think the rest are all socks for me. So I've been a bit selfish, but so this next pair, I knit these just a vanilla sock, but I decided to do some stripes on the cuff, and the colorway for the main color is from Undercover Otter. It's their Squirm sock base, and the colorway is called Jamie Lee, and then the contrast that I use for the toes, heels and the cuffs is just a mini that didn't have a name from Melbourne City Dye Works. This one I think you can see, interestingly, like just, I guess this is how hand-dyed yarn sometimes works out. One of my socks has a lot more speckles than the other. Sorry, bless you. Even though they're from the same skein, but that's just how it works. So I'll put Pia to work.
Sock blocker changing duty.
Changing. The next pair I had is again just another vanilla sock, and this is, the colour is a yarn from Maximu, who's an Australian indie dyer based on the Mornington Peninsula, and this colourway is called Street Lights, I think. Street Lights. If I'm wrong, it will be in the description box. And this is like a sort of dark blue with little speckles of sort of yellow and orange. Do you feel like this colourway reminds me of the Starry Night painting from Van Gogh a little bit?
Sort of. It's a bit more purple though.
Purple.
Okay. There's not really any yellow in it, is there? Or only very small
A
amounts?
few little bit, maybe more sort of orange. And this is his ultra soft sock base. So this is actually a merino cashmere nylon blend. So that is my next pair of socks that I have to show. The next pair, I actually have 2 pairs that I knit during Knitty Natty's sock week. So this was the first one, and I think I actually showed this yarn in the dream weaving section of our previous episode. So these are sort of like a bit of a shorty sock. I think I did just 45 or 40 rounds for the leg instead of 60, and just 15 rounds for the cuff. But this one, the main colour is from NNK Yarns, and it is called Snapdragon. And then the mini that I used for the heels, toes and cuffs is just from a yarn club from Rainbows and Sprinkles. That one didn't have a name either. And I don't know if it's going to show up, but this is actually her NNK, it's her sparkle sock base. So there's 5% silver stellina in that one, and that one I chose, I think that one you said that was your favourite of the options that I had.
I can't remember, but
that's
what do you
because
think?
I sort of picked this one because the theme for Sock Week was sharks or like mermaids. So I thought this kind of had
oceanic,
a bit of a mermaid kind of vibe to it. So then this is the second last sock pair of socks. So during sock week, I knit that pair completely, but this one I only knit one of the 2 socks during sock week, and then I knit the rest of it afterwards. So again, this is also another colour from NNK, and it's also, hopefully you can see on her sparkle sock base. And then the contrast that I use just for the cuff with a ruffle is from Cheshire Hand Dyed, I think, and she's an Etsy based seller out of the UK. The colourway from NNK is called Ice Cream Sprinkle, so it's sort of like a cream coloured base with some sort of pink and blue speckles through it. And this one, the pattern is the, I modified the heel, I just did a fish lips kiss heel, but the pattern for the sock is I think it's called Midnight Dancer from Sari Nordland, so it just has a little bit of a ruffle. The main modification that I did to that was I think I did a few more rounds of plain knitting before I started to decrease for the ruffle. So the ruffle, I guess, is slightly longer, and these ones I've actually worn quite a few times, so they might be looking sort of a little bit worse for wear because I've actually worn them quite a bit. But yeah.
But I mean, you should be able to wear them like hundreds of times, shouldn't you?
Oh yeah, but you just see like you get a bit of like pilling. And I think particularly around the cuff, they've just got a bit of discoloration, like from my jeans kind of thing.
Oh
yeah.
Oh yeah, I suppose if you
like
wear
lighter coloured,
like denim tends to discolour. Fabrics, sorry, almost done.
And then, so my last pair of socks, these are also from Maximoo. I've been on a bit of a Maximoo kick, I think. This colorway is, again, it's his ultra soft sock base, which is a merino cashmere nylon blend. And this one, the colorway is called Violent Bloom, and I just really like how kind of vibrant they are. But you can actually see, I think my tension must have just been slightly different when I was knitting the foot, because the pooling is quite different on the foot of the 2 different socks, but the pooling on the leg I think is fairly similar. So yeah, not sure what happened there, but yeah, I really like the colors of that one. And this yarn, it feels very, very soft, I think, for socks. Yeah, if you can feel it. So yeah, this is Violent Bloom. So I think with all of those FOs, just to update for my project Yarnathon, which is where I'm trying to knit a marathon's worth of yarn, since our last episode. So this is basically 2 months worth of knitting and crochet, but I've only had knitting FOs, was 2,684 meters since the last episode. And that takes me to a total of 16,371 meters, which is 39% of a marathon.
Impressive.
So maybe I'll see if like by the end of the year I'm like halfway.
It sounds like you'll be almost finished.
I don't think so, because a marathon is like 42,000 meters.
Oh, and wait, but when did you start recording this? Like at the start of the year?
No, like maybe in August or so of last year.
Oh, okay. So it has taken you like a year to get this much progress.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I thought this was only since the start of the year.
No. So yeah, that's, I think, all of our finished objects.
Yes.
Oh, you had another ceramic one as well, though, didn't you?
Oh yes. That was a gift for our little nephew, Baby Mungo. A little kind of another sort of like mobile type thing. That was sort of like sun and like rainbow themed. So we can put a picture of that one up as well.
Yeah, I think that's really cute, and I think it's a good one. Like, I guess like these days, like all like children's toys and stuff, I mean, they're fun, but also they're like kind of a bit educational as well. So I feel like, because doesn't it, it's got like a cloud and some raindrops and sun and a rainbow.
Yes, and then I did start making one for like a night sky, but I kind of stuffed up, so the moon, like where you poke the hole through to like to be able to thread like a string through to hang it up. I obviously didn't make the hole big enough, because clay, when it gets fired, like it shrinks. So if you have like a very small hole, then when the clay shrinks, it can basically just close up altogether. And that's what happened. So I can't get a
but we can put a photo of the daytime one. Yeah, so I think that's it for that, for our first section. So I guess we'll
see you in a minute.
Yes,
in a bit.
In the next section.
Section. Not a minute, like a few seconds. Okay, so now it's time for Whip It Good. I've got it in the right order this time. And this is where we talk about any of our current whips or work in progress. So things that we've got on the go at the moment. So shall I go first?
Yeah, if you want.
Yep. So I've got just 2 whips at the moment. So
Do you have 3? Is this not a whip?
Oh yeah. So I have this. This is the embroidery representation of the Starry Nights painting by Van Gogh. So this is something that I've been working on for quite a while. I mean, I think this style of embroidery does take quite a while because you're literally...
It's like painting with thread, isn't it?
Yeah, and you're literally like the entire thing is like completely
yeah.
covered. It's not like you just embroider like, you know, flower here, flower there or whatever. So yeah, it does take quite a while. But so this was a pattern that I purchased from Blooming Day Things on Etsy. And she has patterns of a few different sort of famous paintings. I did one of hers previously.
The Monet.
The
water lilies.
the Japanese bridge. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. So yeah, I've just been working on this. So I've kind of finished more or less most of the sky, and then I'll have like the little village at the bottom is kind of the last bit in the pattern to fill in. But yeah, it's been something that's sort of fun to work on, and I find that you can just pick it up and do even a few minutes on it or whatever, and then put it back down. So it's not, it's just something that I've been sort of working on now and then. I've actually fallen out of the habit of doing like embroidery or like knitting or whatever during like Zoom meetings, which maybe I should get back into that so I can make a bit better, more progress on those ones. So that's my first whip. And that's what I've been taking when I've been going in to visit Dad in hospital. I've been taking, because it's fairly small, so it's easy to just put a
little tote bag.
Put it in a little tote bag, yeah. And then the other whip that I have is my Hue Shift Afghan, which is a pattern from the Knit Picks website. Is it? Yeah, Knit Picks, I think. Yeah, I was thinking Knit Pro, but that's just because you said Knit Pro before. So what I was doing with this square, I did previously start working on this, and I've done I think 15 squares. Where is it? Here it is. I've done 15 squares so far, but I did want to actually have a go at continental knitting. So I was thinking to sort of frog this and start again. I think also when I originally started on this, like, because this was the first Mitre Square project that I started on, I don't know which of them is the worst, but some of the joins like are not very sort of, they're a bit loose, that there's kind of a bit of almost like a bit of a hole. So yeah, I was thinking to maybe frog this and start again. And then, yeah, if I was going to start again, then I may as well start doing some continental knitting. But I think because this square is, if you compared the edge of like the square, is quite a bit shorter. Where is it? There's like to compare kind of the size. It's probably the worst colour that I chose to compare because it's too similar. Yeah. Let's do it on the
darkest one,
the purple one. But I think it's sort of almost about an inch, maybe not quite an inch, but like it's a few centimeters smaller. So I think if I do it on this size needles, the blanket itself is going to be quite small. So I think I might actually, I mean, I thought I may as well just finish knitting the square since I'm almost finished. But I probably will.
So, and what size needles did you knit this on? Because most people, their tension with continental is looser.
Yes. So I think I was knitting this on 4.5 millimeters. So then I sized down to 4 millimeters for the continental, thinking that it would, you know, the gauge would probably work out the same. But I think I actually do need to, like, my continental gauge must still be like more or less the same as my English knitting gauge.
Oh, well, that's probably a good thing, because then if you ever wanted to do like stranded colour work, you could actually knit with 2 hands, because I think that can be a problem if people do stranded colour work with 2 hands. If their English and continental tension is different, it can cause problems with tension in the work. So if they're similar, that would actually be like an advantage for you.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I will finish that square, and I kind of like, I decided to start with just like a completely opposite corner of the blanket for the continental, because like depending on the outcome I wasn't sure which one I would go with, so I thought I might as well start on the opposite corner, and then if I decide to keep the if I decide to stick with English knitting, that I won't have to like rip all that out, and then I can just rip out that one square. I don't know if that would really save that much time. It made sense to me in my head at the time when I made that decision, so I don't know.
Fair enough.
And then the other little whip that I've started working on is not a fibre arts one again, so just sneaking it in here. So this is another ceramics project that I've started working on, which is making these little kind of like decorations, and so I've put a little hole in the bottom of them to glue like a wire kind of stake in them, so they can be just sort of like little decorative things to put in the garden. So the colours like look quite dull at the moment. That's because I haven't glazed them yet. Once they've got a coat of glaze on them, they will be sort of more shiny, and they won't be, sorry, that keeps sort of like focusing in and out.
Like the colour will be a bit more vibrant.
Yeah. So I made
cute.
some little I guess this is sort of like a little barn kind of thing, like, you know, I think, is it in sort of America where you see so, like that really sort of like typical like almost like cartoon looking barn that's like bright red with the like white timber kind of like
And so how did you make these molds?
So this was actually just from it's like a cookie cutter, that has like a stamp. So I think they're actually intended to use for like baking. But I have been using them for ceramics, and then that you get like a very sort of like defined pattern to sort of paint the colours on.
Well, I suppose like biscuit dough, like some biscuit dough is very similar consistency to clay, isn't it?
Yeah. So a lot of like baking stuff that you can do.
Because you've also sometimes, I think Pia's got a few of those, like those patterned rolling pins that she's used for ceramics before as well, haven't you?
Yeah. I would just recommend not to, like, once you've used something for ceramics,
I wouldn't the other way.
I wouldn't use it for baking as well, because I mean, I don't know that clay would be all that poisonous, but like
just the potential for things to be toxic.
Wouldn't sort of cross contaminate between the two. So I
thought
that
would
be a
good idea. Like if you're looking for ceramic supplies, to have a look in like a baking shop as well.
And so I've made like little windmill, little barn. I've made some like little birds.
You had some flower ones.
I had some flower ones that I'm working on as well. So sunflowers, tulips, daisies and poppies, and some little butterflies. And I thought they might also be nice thing to make as like little Christmas gifts.
Yeah, because it's like quite small and nice. Yeah. Cool. All right. I have a bunch of whips, but I think they're all knitting whips. I just haven't done much crochet lately, but I should do a bit more. So this is the first whip. This is a new cast on since our last episode, and if it's not obvious, it's another Ghost Whisperer. This one I'm also using just the Rowan Kidsilk Haze, and this one the colorway is anemone or anemone. I can never get how to say that word, but anemone.
I'm not sure.
I think it is, but I think it's named for, there's a like it's obviously the sea creature, but then also there's a flower of the same name that's like a purple flower that's so I'm pretty sure that's
a picture of this flower,
why the colour is named anemone or anemone.
Oh yes. Oops. I don't know if I can show you this picture.
Yeah.
That work? Oops, wrong way.
Yeah.
It definitely is like the exact colour of that purple one.
Yes. So
these are really nice flowers. Maybe
I just feel like this will be like a nice kind of like springy kind of colour. So I've
poppies.
Yes, yeah, they actually do look quite similar to poppies.
For my garden.
Maybe I've inspired you then. So I've basically finished the body. I've done the bind off in the neck because this is knit from the bottom up. So I just now need to pick up for the sleeves and do the sleeves. So I think I might try doing that thing that I said before of putting a few decreases in the underarm to see if it helps with just that sort of excess fabric under the arm.
It would look alright as like a tank top as well.
Yeah, I think you could potentially even just like pick up and do an I-cord like bind off. Because I think I know some people do, but like I feel like this for me just looks like this edge looks a bit unfinished. So I think I would want to have some kind of but I think you could do just like a bind off. I guess it would just be one of those tank tops that has like quite a deep.
Yeah, but I mean, but obviously it's quite see-through, so you're going to wear something underneath.
Like some kind of like a crop top or something.
Or a singlet or something.
Yeah.
Or a camisole, sorry, is probably the correct terminology.
So, yeah, that is my first whip. The next whip I have is also very purple based. So you might remember from previous episodes, I'd actually almost finished this. It's the Highland Slipover by Azetta Knitwear. And so I was knitting the large size and my gauge was a little bit looser than the designers, but I was hoping that I could get away with it. And it turns out that I could not. But I didn't want to size down with my needles because I was quite happy. Like I didn't want the fabric. It's already quite fairly dense fabric. I didn't want it to be denser than this. So I've actually I completely frogged it. I relaxed the yarn just with the iron, like steam from the iron. And I've started it again and I'm just knitting the medium size. And I've basically just done the short row shaping in the back and a little bit of the back panel where you're just knitting flat, but that's all I've done so far on this. I feel like this is now probably going to take a while to finish because I'm not going to be able to wear it this year, so I'm not really in any great hurry to have it finished.
Because it's a winter sort of thing.
But I really do love the sort of colours of the yarn. This one I'm using is the Merino Aran base from Le Bien Aimé, and the colourway is called Calliope. So it's this sort of like grey lilac and with these sort of like bright magenta pops throughout it.
Brand for Lavender Cottage.
Yeah, but I just felt like once I finished it and I tried on the large, this is like before I blocked it, so if anything it was going to get even bigger. It just wasn't the fit that I desired for myself personally. I guess like probably other people would have worn it
because I guess the slipover is sort of meant to be a sort of fairly kind of boxy, loose kind of style, but if you thought it was too loose. Yeah,
I just it was just too much fabric, particularly around the sort of like across this body, area and underarm area. It was just, for me personally, it was just too much fabric. So yeah, that is a whip, but I think it's going to be hibernated probably until maybe
brought out in
sort of autumn kind of thing probably. So you probably won't see it for a while. And then the last whips that I have are all socks. So this is another Maximu one. I'm actually just about to start the toe for the second sock, so this is
almost finished.
Probably finish this today or tomorrow. And this one, the colorway it's his ultra soft sock base again, so that merino cashmere nylon. Hopefully it's focusing there on the colors. This one, the colorway is called Chloe. I really like this one. Sort of green,
I think
purple, blue.
It seems to show up on the screen as being sort of quite sort of teal aqua, but I feel like in real life it's more green.
Yeah.
Like the camera seems to bring out a lot of the blue sort of tones.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just the lighting in here,
maybe.
But if it's not showing up very well when I have a look at the video later on, maybe I'll just take a photo of it, like in sort of sunlight. Yeah, but I really love this color. It's very nice.
You could wear them for St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, why not? And then the next sock that I have is, I've started another one for my dad. So this is another one of these crazy Talwabal or magic ball. And this one, the colorway is called Tea for Wasser, which in English means deep water. I'm not 100% sure if that's what they call the colorway in English. But yeah, so this one I've just started the other day. So I've just done the cuff and a little bit of the leg. So it's kind of like got a lot of green, but also some blue, teal, and actually a little bit of purple as well. So yeah, and this one again I'm using, so my normal my normal needle that I use for sock knitting is a US 0, so it's a 2mm, but for these I'm using a US 1, which is a 2.25mm, just because it is slightly heavier weight yarn than a fingering weight, I think. But I wouldn't call this a DK weight personally. So that is this one, some more socks for my dad. And then the last whip, I actually forgot to bring it, but I'll just put in some photos. So it is my surprise sock-along socks from the Stephen West surprise sock-along, the contrast blast socks. And I'm actually thinking of frogging them. Not so much because I don't like the pattern, it's actually because of something that I did. I
left them on the dining room table only for about 2 weeks, but that area, like that window, just gets a lot of sun. And so the speckled yarn is fine, but the tonal yarn that I'd used, basically one side of the sock is like more or less completely bleached, and it's like quite an obvious color difference. So like that's my fault. Shouldn't have done that. And I guess it does go to show that should keep, when you store your yarn, if it's hand dyed yarn, you shouldn't be storing it in direct sunlight. So that was my fault. But I guess we just had so much stuff going on. It just slipped my mind, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then when I picked it up, I was like, ooh, whoops. So I don't know what I'm going to do at this point, but I think I probably will frog them.
Okay.
I think I'd done up to clue 2, so there's 4 clues to finish the sock. I'd done up to clue 2 on one sock and up to clue 3 on the second sock. So I was about just over halfway through. But I'll put some photos on, but it's super, super obvious.
And so are you going to redo them? Do you have enough extra of the yarn that got bleached, or are you going to just pick a different?
I don't know at this stage.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I think after having seen, and I guess that's the thing with mystery knit-alongs, is that like you don't know
What the
like
final
they give
product's
you
gonna be.
guidance on yarn choices, but I think sometimes then when you see the final product, you maybe think, well, if I would have known it was going to look like that, I wouldn't have picked those yarns.
Yeah.
I think for me, I do like the design. I've seen a lot of people say they think the design is super ugly, but like his designs are quite loud. Like they're not kind of for the faint-hearted kind of thing. I think I would wear them, will be more likely to wear them if I use 2 solid colours rather than a speckled and a solid.
Okay.
So I think maybe if I knit them in the future, I might...
or you just do a completely different yarn.
Probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think at this stage, they're probably going to get frogged. I think I'll leave them for a little bit and just
to see how
think
you
about
feel.
it. But I think most likely they're going to get frogged. So I think that is all of our whips, is it?
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, I guess it's time now to move on to the last section.
Oh, we have a visitor. Hi,
Hello.
Juliet.
Hello.
Ooh.
Hello. Are you going to do some knitting or crochet this afternoon?
I think you might have tried to do some crochet already when you chewed up a crochet hook.
Oh, no, you're not supposed to hold the hook in your mouth. You hold it in your paws.
No.
That's okay, Juliet. No for next time.
Okay, so it's time for the final section of our podcast, which is called Dream Weaving. And this is where we talk about any kind of future plans. We also sometimes show any recent purchases. Do you have anything new in your stash that you want to show today?
Oh, just this fabric.
Okay. Okay, just we like to give a bit of a warning in case some people are on a no buy or a low buy who don't want to look at kind of haul videos.
Yeah, no, I
that
just
you
have
can kind of
a
skip
few
to the end,
little
but this is
things,
a
yeah.
modest, very modest in the way of hauls, so
Yes.
you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I'll go first.
Yeah, if you want.
I don't really have any concrete plans of things that I want to do, but I do have, well, I guess I do in a way. Like I have been meaning for ages to really knuckle down and practice my crochet, because I have done sort of stop and start of crocheting little squares and that kind of thing over and over again. So sort of knuckle down and maybe I did buy some patterns for some amigurumi, like little rabbit toys that look quite cute. That might be okay for like a little present for our nephew. Or I mean, I think I'm probably just not going to get it done in time. One of my work colleagues is having a baby at the beginning of December, so I think maybe, I don't know.
Those lovies that I made as like my first crochet project, I think I did those in maybe a month or something.
Oh, okay.
So because I think they use like a DK weight, so they kind of work up. So I think if you're going to make like crochet a little toy or something like that, just pick a slightly sort of chunkier yarn and it will work up a lot quicker.
That's true. I mean, I suppose also like something doesn't have to be ready like the day the baby's born kind of thing.
No, that's true. Yeah.
So yeah, and then I guess I've got my I want to restart my Hue Shift Afghan that I've kind of just been doing that swatch for the continental knitting, and I guess my other kind of things that I'm sort of got in the works to start. I did buy a few like kits for the crochet things for the alpine stitch blanket, and I've got a kit for a little watermelon themed rug. So I guess that would be good to kind of seeing as I've got those things lying around to actually make a decent effort to build up my crochet skills enough to be able to start, because I feel like at the moment I don't think I'm like confident enough in crochet to actually start working on like a legit pattern. I'm still at the kind of practicing stage.
I think you'll get there pretty quickly. And like something like a lovey would be a good project to do as a practice because it's quite small. So
Okay.
Okay.
And the other sort of like dream weaving thing that I have in mind, but it's not actually something that I'm going to make. Do you know what it is?
No.
I mean, for a little while now, you've been saying that you would crochet like a little hat.
Oh,
for the
yeah,
dogs.
I think we talked about that in our last episode. Sorry,
Yeah.
I haven't done that yet.
Yeah, someone in the Greyhound Rescue group that Susie and Juliet and also Sandy came from, as like a fundraising thing for their sort of rescue group. She makes like little crochet hats for dogs, and they're just really cute and funny. So we thought, I think it would be funny if Anna does one for Susie and Juliet.
Yeah, I do remember I said that in the last episode and I haven't done it yet. Oops, sorry. I feel like actually if we go back and watch our old episodes and like what we said in dream weaving each time.
I mean,
I haven't done that. But I think like most people with any kind of hobby would
you have all these sort of like ideas and you just kind of
too many ideas and not enough time.
Yeah, that you don't have time to do them all.
Yes. So for my dream weaving, I've just got one more of those Shoppel Talwabal, magic ball, and this one is called Yaka Vihosa, which I think in English they said they called it jacket and trousers. So it's kind of like cream and green and brown stripes. So another pair of socks for my dad. But then the other main thing, I did buy from just like a D-Stash group on Facebook, some fabric. And it's very, very giving all the Lavender Cottage vibes. So I'll just show you. So I think she had something like about 1.5 meters of it, and I just basically bought the whole thing. And so it is from Tilda Fabrics, and this particular one was called My Neighborhood in their lilac color. So I think it will be enough that I can basically make each of us a project bag. So I just thought it'd be kind of cool to have like a matching Lavender Cottage project bag. And I did buy this one as well. I don't know if I'll use this as the lining or if I'll use this in something else. But it's kind of like a purple lilac with sort of these little rainbow coloured dots in sort of like a geometric. And this one is from a Free Spirit fabric from their Moon Garden collection, and the particular pattern was called Baby Geo. So hopefully you can kind of see what it looks like there. It's like a lilac colour. I'm not too sure if it will quite go, like if the two colours really go together. Yeah, they're a bit different. So I might choose something else for the lining. Or to be honest, I've probably got enough that I could actually just line it with the same fabric. But I suppose sometimes it's quite nice to have like a bit of contrast for your lining. So that is a plan of mine. We've got a long weekend coming up next weekend because of the AFL Grand Final, which we
neither of us have any interest in.
Give us stuff about.
It is nice to get an extra public holiday, an extra day off work.
Maybe I'll make some project bags on my day off, or we've got a little visitor coming over.
Are you coming under or
no? She's just hanging around. But I think
the dog Susie.
I think that's basically all that we have for today.
So sorry, I'm getting distracted by Susie. I think she kind of wants to go out, but we're wrapping up so she can go out in a second.
Don't knock that. Careful, Susie. Don't eat the ceramics.
She just did her little kind of like shake thing, and then her tail kind of like went ding against this like metal table. So If you heard a funny noise just then, that's what it was.
Thank you for joining us for today's episode. Hopefully we will be able to record a little bit more regularly now that life has settled down a little bit. But yeah, thank you if you watched to the end of the episode. If you haven't watched one of our episodes before and you did like it and you want to sort of keep up with all the projects that we do and don't finish, feel free to subscribe to our channel. And if you did like the video, I think supposedly giving it a thumbs up helps other people to see the video as well, so that would be much appreciated. All of the information about yarns and patterns and everything like that will be in the description box, but if you have any questions, you can always leave a comment and we'll get back to you with further details or whatever.
And we've got links in the description to our Ravelry pages, which I'm a bit slack at updating, but I think your Ravelry is mostly up to date.
I think mine's about a month behind, but it's
Ravelry and
kind of up to date.
And also we sometimes put little updates on Instagram, in between episodes as well, so you can check those out as well if you would like to.
Yeah, but I think that's basically all for today. So thank you for joining us this afternoon. And until our next episode, we wish you happy stitching. Bye.
Bye.